cool. It's Guy from Inner Tech Partners, and today we've got the very exciting Safia from ClubZero. Safia, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello. So I'm founder and CEO at ClubZero. ClubZero is a returnable packaging system, which is, in plain term English, it's a reuse system. We provide reusable packaging across food and beverage outlets to give consumers an option that is an alternative to single-use plastics. So we are here to end the world's problem of single-use packaging plastics.
And that is a serious problem,
That's
given
a big problem.
the scale of apps like Deliveroo and Just Eat that have just exploded. We're losing a lot of recyclable material, not reusable. I don't even need to question the sustainability focus here. I think we've absolutely nailed it. So welcome to episode 6, and let's learn a little bit more about you. So first off, congratulations. I believe, is it a crowdfunded campaign at the moment?
That's right. We are in overfunding on Seeders just now. In 5 days, we reached our target, and happy days. So very excited we can now reach our next milestone and bring in some new team members to support our mission. But yeah, there's still time to invest. So if anyone's excited, click the link that I'm sure you'll be able to share with everybody as part of this this podcast and this session. Between
that and the careers page, I think it makes for some exciting reading. So let's go, let's fire off some questions and let's get it sorted. So, I mean, give us an overview of the company, and you've given us what you're trying to do. So where do you take the product?
Well, I mean, for me, the mission is to make cities zero waste, right? I'm an architect by background, should probably add that, that's very important. So my vision is always about scale. It's looking at, from 20,000 feet, how do we build the best cities of the future? And that would involve not consuming the way we do, which is using things for 20 seconds and then just thinking we can chuck it in the bin and something magical will happen to it, but really sort of figuring out a more cohesive, more sustainability system that is at city scale. That means that you take away, you use, you return, and it all comes back into the system. It gets washed, redistributed, and sent back out. And that way we basically avoid those dystopian images that we've seen of end of the world, where there's this mountain of waste and garbage and robots trying to clean them and us sort of eating out of them. So sort of the kind of moving away from that to a much cleaner and more sustainable way of living and consuming, without saying to people, you have to eat less or drink less, right? So
consumers inherently, one of them here, so I speak for all of us, we don't like to change. We don't want to change. And unless something is more viable, easier, simpler, we struggle with it. And you know what, you used a really interesting phrase there. You said on a city scale.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's brilliantly easy for your local chippy to take it from plastic paper to using just normal paper without ink in it, right? And giving you chips that way. That works when you're trying to get maybe, I don't know, a small local business to change its habits. That's so much simpler. On a city scale, which is such an interesting phrase, how do you then get people to change en masse? And I take it with your product, you've managed to capture that.
Yeah, sure. So it's sort of, you're looking at an infrastructure system, which is 20,000 feet. You're looking at, if I'm a bird's eye view, what I'm proposing is we have a distributed network of drop points across the city where people can drop off packaging. As seamless it is to throw something away in a bin, it's as seamless to just drop it off in a drop point. So that's an infrastructure play. And then on the more sort of ground level, you are talking about every single cafe and restaurant being able to stock ClubZero reusable packaging, or their own, because we accept third-party packaging in our system as well, to be able to give that as an alternative to single-use disposable packaging. And this is, these are the two various scales that we operate in. We operate at the infrastructure level, which means we work with major developers, estate owners, councils, public sector bodies, and then we also work with, on the more ground level, major brands such as Starbucks, McDonald's, Just Eat, who's one of our biggest delivery partners, and more kind of medium to small brands, Kaleido, Hidden Curry, Notes Coffee, who have mini chains and stuff. So these are the two ends of the spectrum. It's very similar if you think about it in in terms of when you want to evolve an industry from where we are to something that's completely transformational, first of all, it takes at least a decade. So this isn't something I've started, yesterday or last year. This is something I started in 2015.
Jesus.
So I founded it in 2015. We started operating in 2018.
Yep.
So for a long time, we realized we were way too early in the market, and this just couldn't really take legs until 2018 onwards. And that was really because of David Attenborough's whole sort of, cascading, beautiful, photography and illustration of our global plastics crisis. And then the consumer became aware. But if you're looking at it from these two angles, product line, infrastructure line, it's very similar to products that have changed the solar industry, for example, or the car industry, for example. So you're looking at electric cars requiring not just batteries, but a network of which is distributed, which can allow charging points so that you can transform these industries. And so this sort of double kind of approach where you're looking at 20,000 feet infrastructure and you're looking at a new product range are really what you're seeing more and more of as we evolve and as we move into more sustainable approaches to city scale design.
And you've got two customers, right? So you have the retailer that purchases your product, and you've got the customer that consumes with your product. So I typically ask what the benefit is to the customer, but from those two strands, we can kind of understand the benefit to the consumer is the environmental impact, the sustainable impact, and the kind of feel good thing. Where's the benefit to the retailer? Because this is the biggest barrier. If it's not going to make us, if it's not more profitable or cost neutral, why do they do it? So I'll let you.
So we're price comparable to compostable packaging. This is really important, right? You're very right in assuming no one's going to roll out of bed just out of the goodness of their heart to change. Ultimately, specifically in food and beverage, the margins are very low because it's a high volume business. It's not, these aren't very large, expensive items that are sold periodically. These are high volume but low value items that are sold all the time. So you have to have a couple of things playing. One is it has to either save the money, or be the same price, but have a higher value to their customer. So for example, we don't sell to anybody who is not buying compostable packaging or sustainable packaging already. We don't sell to a customer that is buying styrofoam packaging, for example. Well, they're just not going to be in the market because their customers are not interested in what packaging their food comes in, right? So our main focus, and you have to focus on a specific target market initially. You're not selling to everybody. You're selling to a certain fraction of the market. And when you have finished that, you'll find that they will start to influence the other sections of the market. So your mass market eventually will have to be at a much lower price than what we're operating at the moment. Yep. To get there, we've got to first start and focus on the ones where, for them, the pricing has to be comparable to compostable packaging or biodegradable packaging. The second is you build loyalty. In reuse systems, what's interesting, if you think about any subscription model, any, Spotify, music, I want to say Blockbuster back in the day, but Netflix now.
Yeah, of course. I still remember Blockbuster, so don't worry, I'm there with you. I know what you mean.
Selling those VHS through that letterbox in Blockbusters. Yeah. So my point is, subscription models are, return customers. This is a subscription model. We ask our customers what volumes do they need. They tell us by month, they get subscribed. They also then in return set up loyalty with their customers, which means every time we'll deliver, we'll pick up the packaging, et cetera, et cetera. It all works very well from a brand perspective because it encourages more orders. More orders mean more sales. It also is cheaper for them to run sustainability ads. They get more return on their investment than regular ads because they get more clicks. So there's an awful lot baked into this when you look at, across the board, what are the value adds?
Amazing. And captivating and not a product I thought existed yet. So just like my last episode on episode 5, I'm learning something new, and I'm really hoping the people watching this are learning something new. Yeah. So how do you see your business developing over the next 3 to 4 years? I imagine it's going to explode, but in what sort of terms?
Explode in a good way.
Yeah. It totally combust, but it doesn't sound so grandiose.
Yeah. So a couple of things. I think for us, our focus this year is just London. We are very much a city by city based operation. So we don't look at regional growth, we look at city scale growth. So city scale is how we kind of framed it, which means we replicate the city then in international cities, which have the same sort of dynamics. And cities, when you look at the sort of way that cities work, more or less, they're quite identical if they're of a certain scale, right? So they'll have certain parameters which are similar, such as bike sharing. They'll have certain things which people are already used to. And so you can very easily replicate a citywide system globally. And once you've got a rule book and you've got a way of doing that, and you've already established large, partnerships which are already global, it's literally just saying, okay, great, let's take this to the next city. So we have those partnerships in place. We're growing more.
Yep.
So beyond London, there's a whole waiting list of cities on our target.
Because if you get London right, if you can conquer London, it's been the bastion of every business in England for the last 100 years. You get London, you can put your business anywhere. And also London is globally connected. So London, you must replicate. It's one of the biggest cities in the world. So you go New York, Barcelona, if you can get London,
yes,
you conquer the rest, right? Yeah. Or at least I'm stealing the business ideas of Uber, where they went everywhere. Pretty
much. And we've done small scale testing already. Like I said, we this wasn't, something I set up last year. So we've already launched in the US. We ran a pilot in Palo Alto. So we have tested it in various models and in various cities with, small, medium, large kind of audiences, and understood the dynamics. And now we've moved into food. We're looking at the delivery model because, like you said, post-COVID world, it's interesting. Pandemic has really changed the way that we live, work, and play. And so consuming more at home is now the new norm. And that's not going to change. People are comfortable, you just change a background filter somewhere else. So that's just the reality. So delivery for us is convenient because it means we're not asking the consumer to do anything other than just select in an app.
Choose better restaurants. Choose the restaurants that work with ClubZero, and you're working with less waste. You touched on some good points there. We have changed the way that we work massively. So I'm not working from home today, but I've been working from home for the rest of the week, and I go to less meetings. For the first time in a long time, I'm in London tomorrow. Yeah. So as we change our working arrangements, how have you as an employer kind of changed? What's the culture of ClubZero?
Yeah. We've always been remote, interestingly. So we've kind of have this idea that you hire for talent, not for location.
Nice, okay.
I mean, it's not a prerequisite of where you live doesn't tell me anything about how brilliant you are or how much hustle you have. So those things are irrelevant. Of course, in certain fields, they're very relevant. So sales and ops definitely need to be on, in the place where you are operating. So you can meet people face to face and have that human contact. Obviously with operations side and host experience, you have to be interfacing and with them on a daily, weekly basis. But pretty much everything else can and should be remote as far as I'm concerned. So we've always had our tech engineering in France, and we've been operating like that since 2018. So when pandemic happened, for us, it was just pretty normal to just jump onto Zoom. There wasn't this, how do you Zoom? What do you do? We didn't have any of that. We were just, business as usual. As normal, because again, like I mentioned, we had launched in Palo Alto. We just finished up in Palo Alto and come back March 2020. And so those two teams are remote teams, so the European team and the US team, and coordinating, it was just always on Zoom. So for us, it wasn't a cultural shock. It was just more sort of thinking through, okay, well, I guess this could be the new norm. And what does it do to us as a company? Well, a couple of things. First of all, yes, we do really, really, I think, find it more exciting when we are all together. It's kind of like it's sort of, when you haven't seen your lover for like months, and then suddenly you're like, oh my God, and then there's a lot more love to give someone.
Massively.
It's not incremental, it's just a build up, and you sort of feel like, oh, this is great, we're all together. So we do have certain milestone events where we bring everybody together, which is really, really, I think, exciting and powerful and fun, and you can just feel the energy. We did that for the end of our when we launched our into retail and delivery, announced our new partnership. So end of September, we did that with the whole team. Everyone flew in, and it was super fun. It was just very energetic. So I think that, and then maybe bringing the team together. What we're planning to do is have more sort of workshop-based exercises, have a couple of days where we just hire the whole, top floor space of an open plan office area, and then we get some catering in-house. It's for us, those sort of like small ad hoc sort of meeting points are more exciting in some ways than the drone of
that real human connection where that and I can feel, like most of the people that I speak to on this podcast, and I think it must be an entrepreneurial trait, but the passion again comes through, and it's come through from episode 1 to episode 6, is people that love their businesses and love what they do. The kind of big thing for me is trust, right? So if you're onboarding entirely remotely, you have people working entirely remotely, there's a huge amount of trust that goes into that. So what do you do when you work with people to get them to buy into you? What do they love about Safia and ClubZero?
So good point. Now I'll give you an example. My one of my, I almost said my best hire. Be very careful there. One of my best hires. One of my best hires was so Hannah's on our team. She's great. So what Hannah did was she hounded us. So she hounded me. She kept pinging me, emailing me, saying, really like what you're doing. I really think that what I've done in the past would be great for you guys. Please, can I, just join a little bit, ad hoc, whatever it is, whatever works for you.
I just want to be in the door.
I just want to be, in this space. So please, can you let me know when you have something free? And I genuinely was sort of, just brushing it off for a long time, thinking, I don't really need somebody looking after brand design and comms. I can do it. And lo and behold, I could not. So I contacted her and I said, hey, why don't you join, let's start off on a little bit and we'll see how it goes. And that's honestly, try before you buy has always been my guidance to everything in life. When you, for example, you never do this. You never go to a supermarket and see a new range of juice that has just come out and buy 20 of them, right? You're never going to do that.
God, no.
You're not going to do that. You're going to be like, this.
I really like juice as well, so I still wouldn't do it.
You're going to be like, okay, let me try one. And if I like it, then I might come back. And that's how you build with any brand as well, right? So people are their own brand. You want to understand, is this somebody who I would want to work with, and vice versa? So try before you buy. So I said, fine, join us, no problem. We started working. Within a month, I knew this person was just someone I could not live without.
It was the 20 juices you could buy.
I went and bought the 20 juices. I was like, this is great. So yeah, I will bulk order this. Thank you so much. So and now, I hate to have to say this, but I can't. Hopefully, she won't listen to this before we have our promotion conversation. So, but there are people in your team that you can't function without. And I think when you're a business leader, you know who they are. So genuinely, for me, that's happened as completely 100% remote. She lives in Bristol. I only met her for the first time about 6-7 months into working together.
Funny enough, I'm in Bristol, so that one shocked me. So
there you go.
Yeah,
so,
no. I find that hugely impressive. One of so my company's split across 4 cities, and I personally don't struggle with it, but the kind of onboarding, trust, all of these things are just because it's not, remote working isn't built into our culture, unlike it is yours. We don't have that veteran experience of bringing people through and having all that faith. So it's hugely impressive, and to find an organization that literally takes it to its core, fantastic. So I'm going to let people do their own research on the ClubZero product. I think I've seen and heard enough from you that we can talk a little bit more about you and get some quick fire questions off. And in essence, you sound like you've got some vacancies. I'm going to get you to post your careers page beneath this article so people can see it and hear it. And after seeing you in action, they can apply. But what's your number one role that you want to fill at the moment?
Product manager. So we are hiring for a stellar product manager. There are a few roles open, so do get in touch. We've just not advertised it. Like I said, I prefer people knocking on my door and chasing me. I find that's where the hustle is, right? You want it, come and, you know, there's nothing.
Doors are open, we're here. Come and tell us what's going on.
Honestly, if your work is great, if you just show me your projects, that's all I care about. I'm a designer by background. I'm an architect, so for me, I'm incredibly visual and creative, and I want to see that coming out in people's work. So product manager is one. We are also hiring for a few other roles.
I'll let them apply. So number one, let's find a product manager. Good luck. You've met Safia, you know ClubZero. Get in touch.
Exactly.
Episode 6 has shared with us a product that we didn't know existed yet. So I really hope we see ClubZero across the world. Come to Bristol as soon as you can. I'll happily try it. But let's get some questions out of the way. So what's the best bit of software you can't live without?
Ooh, bit of software or an app? I mean, I do use Google like a crazy person. So, but that's such a boring.
No one said Google. I mean, I couldn't live without it. So
I couldn't live without it.
Google
Yeah, I mean, I literally probably spend 96% of my life on it. I mean, they must have most of people's lives on there. I don't know what I would do that.
I'm sold. Best bit of tech that you've ever bought?
Physical or software?
Ooh, physical, go.
I mean, earpods, so boring.
I think I've got mine on my desk. I wouldn't call them boring. I use them every day.
I use them every day. I'm such a practical person. These are really, really, really boring answers.
We're going with earpods. Do you work in the morning or the night? Are you a morning or evening person?
I'm more into the night. If I had no dependencies, i.e. dog, cat, child, I would probably sit at my desk till 4 a.m. just working away happily.
And that shows as well. Motto that you live by?
I live by, so there's one that I've started to respect more and more, is if you don't set your goals, you're not going to get to them. So you've got to set your goals. And, you know, we're still in January, so whoever's listening to this, there's still time, do it. For the year, set your goals.
This will be the last week of January when this one comes out. So I really hope that they set those goals and they get stuck in.
Yeah.
Microsoft or Apple?
Apple.
No hesitation. Not even going to go into it. We move on. Microsoft is dead in the water. Best thing about working at a sustainable company?
You have no excuses. Excuses, right?
I'm going to send shots at episode 126 and any episode after 6 needs to understand there's no excuses when it comes to saving the planet. So I'm sold. I need ask no more. And what is the most annoying thing about working at a sustainable company? I haven't got any excuses.
Oh, goodness me. Most annoying thing. Oh, because, you know, there's accountability. So you can't make up your impact. It's not annoying, but there's more accounting to be done. You have to measure everything. It's kind of like if you're a B Corp, you know, that's a big deal. It takes a long time to get through that process, and you really have to validate yourself. So it's not as easy as just setting up any regular company and saying, hey, we're doing this. There's more accountability. There's more work. There's more tangible and real data that you have to prove.
No greenwashing at the oversubscribed ClubZero. We are doing this the proper way. And what a pleasure to have you on the phone. Have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
What I said. Safia, fantastic. I look forward to episode 7. I look forward to speaking to you again.
Awesome.
See you later. Bye.
Take care. Bye.